I used to think I was the dependable one in the family, the guy people could lean on when things got messy, the stable nephew, my mom would say, when my Uncle Rick dropped off the grid or when my cousin needed a place to crash. I had a steady job in IT at a regional hospital in Dayton, paid my car off early, had a small two-bedroom in Beaver Creek with a backyard I didn't do enough with. I wasn't flashy. I wasn't rich, but I was reliable, and that's what got me into this. Rick wasn't the kind of guy you expected to stick around long. He had that slick charisma some people mistake for dependability, knew how to shake hands, laugh with his whole chest, tell a story like he'd lived three lives in one. My mom used to call it shiny trouble, the kind that caught your eye but dented easy. When he came back around last fall, it was like deja vu. Same truck with the busted rear light. Same leather jacket that looked expensive but had a tear by the pocket. He walked into my place like we'd just had dinner the night before. Called me kid, even though I was 34 by then. Been a while, I said. Too long, he grinned. Place looks good. Still got that charcoal grill out back? I didn't, but I let him talk. He cracked a beer from my fridge without asking, dropped into the kitchen chair like he owned it, and before the foam hit the lip of the can, he was off. Stories about Texas, a girl named Cherie, a dog named Biscuit, a business opportunity he almost closed in Scottsdale. Almost. The pitch didn't come until his third visit. That time, he brought steaks. You ever think about real estate, Nate? I looked up from the patio chair. He was standing near the grill, flipping a ribeye with a fork like he'd done it 100 times, even though he'd already burned the edges. I shrugged. Not really. Market's weird. That's the beauty of it, he said. Buy low, ride the wave. I've got something lined up. Fixer-upper off Patterson, close to campus. Needs cosmetic stuff. I flip it in 6 months. We split the upside. We? He laughed, full and warm. You'd be co-signing, just for the credit hit. I've got the down, the materials, the crew. But my score's not where the banks want to see it. You know how it is. They love guys like you. Guys like me, I repeated. Responsible, clean, employed. I didn't say anything right away. The ribeye hissed on the grill. It smelled like rosemary and too much salt. Just a signature, he added. You don't owe a dime. I handle the payments. You'll never even see the paperwork after this. He made it sound like lending a guy your umbrella. I didn't say yes that night, but I didn't say no either. It sat with me for a few days. I asked myself all the right questions. Could I trust him? What if he defaulted? What would happen to my credit? Then I asked myself, the one I knew would tip me over. Would I rather be the guy who says no to family? Because if I were honest, brutally honest, that was the part that stuck. My dad bailed on us when I was 9. Rick had been the one who showed up at my 8th grade band recital, who taught me to use jumper cables, who held the garbage can when I puked the first time I drank too much. He wasn't always there, but when he was, he made you feel like you mattered. So I signed. It was a little credit union near downtown, clean floors, that weird smell of paper and toner. The loan officer, Amanda, looked at me over her glasses. You understand you're equally liable for repayment, she said. I do. And you know the monthly amount? I nodded. $12.75. Amanda glanced at Rick, who was whistling faintly and looking at a plant in the corner. Then she pushed the paperwork forward. Rick took me to lunch after, paid in cash, made a joke about finally getting ahead. This is the start of something, kid, he said. I feel it. For a while, I believed him. The first month passed, no calls, no issues. Second month, I got an alert from Credit Karma about a new loan associated with my profile. It matched what we signed. I let it go. Third month, I texted him just to check in. He didn't reply right away, but that wasn't unusual. Rick wasn't a texter. But then the fourth month came, and the calls started. Unknown numbers. Voicemails with just background noise. Then finally, a woman's voice. Sharp, firm. This is Victoria with Polaris Recovery Services. We're trying to reach Nathan Fields regarding a delinquent account ending in 7421. Please call us back at your earliest convenience. My stomach sank. I called Rick first. Straight to voicemail. Then again, same thing. Then I texted, "Hey, did something happen with the loan?" Nothing. I waited 2 days. Called again. Left a message. Nothing. Then I went by the address on the loan. The house looked like a ghost had coughed on it. Shingles missing. Window cracked. A broken pallet leaned against the side like someone had started a project and walked off. No truck in the driveway. No lights on. I knocked anyway. Nobody home. The next call was from the bank. Amanda again. "Mr. Fields, I wanted to follow up on the status of the November and December payments. We've reached out to Mr. Richards but haven't heard back." My mouth felt dry. I thought he'd been making them. "I'm afraid the account is now 61 days past due." I thanked her, hung up, and just sat there. The living room was quiet except for the fridge humming behind me. My coffee table was still cluttered with a Sudoku book I hadn't touched in weeks, a receipt from Lowe's, and the unopened envelope with my name written in my own handwriting. I finally opened it. Final notice. $2,550 past due. Interest accruing. Credit impact already applied. I texted Rick again. "Man, what's going on?" Delivered. No reply. 2 hours later, I tried to call. The line rang once. Then, "This number is no longer in service." I blinked, checked the number, tried again, same message. I went to his Facebook. Still active. New post from a week ago. Picture of a beach captioned, "Just vibes." Comments full of women with heart emojis. I clicked to message him. It loaded for a second. Then, "You cannot message this user." Blocked. He blocked me. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering, then typed his name into Instagram. Gone. Twitter. Gone. Even Venmo. Nothing. Like I never existed. Like I was just a stop on his road. I stood in the middle of my living room, surrounded by unopened bills, and realized something I hadn't wanted to believe until that moment. Rick didn't just forget to pay. He planned this. He used me. And now, I was $1,500 deep into a debt I didn't create, with 2 months missed and a third one coming. I pulled up my bank app and started a budget adjustment. Cut streaming, paused gym, no takeout. Then I filed a dispute with the credit bureau. The woman on the line was nice but firm. "You co-signed, sir. Unfortunately, that makes you liable." Yeah, I knew that. Still, hearing it out loud hit different. The envelope still sat on the counter, curling at the edges. I didn't throw it away. I taped it to the fridge. I wanted to see it every morning. The hardest part wasn't the money. Not at first, anyway. It was the shame. Shame's a funny thing. It doesn't hit all at once. It creeps. It shows up in weird moments. When you're at the gas pump, watching the total tick past what you budgeted. When your boss asks if everything's okay at home because your eyes are redder than usual. When you scroll through old text threads and see the little blue bubbles of trust that aged like milk. My mom didn't know yet. I wasn't sure how to tell her. She always saw the best in Rick, even when he didn't earn it. "He's got a good heart," she used to say. "Just bad timing." Yeah, well, bad timing got my credit score knocked down 60 points, and now I had two choices: pay the damn thing myself to keep my credit alive, or keep dodging calls while Rick laid on a beach somewhere, drinking rum punch and catfishing retirees. I chose the former. I called Amanda at the bank again. She recognized my voice. That's how often we'd spoken by then. "Hi, Mr. Fields. I was just going to leave you a voicemail." "Let's set up a payment plan," I said. "I'll cover the past due." She paused. I could hear her typing. You understand this will restart the clock in your name only. Once you begin payments, the responsibility, if not legally, then practically, shifts entirely to you. I nodded, even though she couldn't see it. I know. So I paid it, $25.50. That was most of my emergency fund. Then I scheduled autopay for the next 3 months, just to stabilize it. I didn't tell anyone. Not my coworkers, not my friends, definitely not Mom. But secrets don't stay buried long when you're family. It started unraveling on a Sunday in late March. Mom called to invite me to dinner. Lasagna night. Said Rick might be in town again. I nearly dropped the phone. What? He texted this morning, she said, like it was no big deal. Said he might swing through this week. He's been in Florida. Did he say where? No, just said he was catching up on things. You know how he is. He asked about you. That line hit like a punch to the ribs. He asked about me? Mm-hmm. Said he'd been meaning to call but lost his phone in the ocean or something. I nearly laughed. That was his story? Mom, I said carefully, if he shows up, please let me know. Why? Is something wrong? And there it was. I told her. Not the whole thing, not at first, just the basics. The loan, the missed payments, the calls, the blocking. There was a long pause on the line. That doesn't sound like Rick. I stayed quiet. She sighed. Well, maybe something happened. You know how he gets when he's overwhelmed. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. Yeah, I said. Overwhelmed. We ended the call soon after. I spent the next 3 days feeling like I'd committed some kind of betrayal, not just against myself, against her idea of him, but I also knew if I didn't start doing something, this wouldn't be the last time someone used me like that. So I got a folder, labeled it Richard's Loan. Inside, I printed the contract, the payment history, the emails from Amanda, the screenshot of the blocked number. I started documenting. Not for court. I couldn't afford a lawyer, but I needed a record. For me. Then I called around. I wasn't looking for Rick. Not exactly. But I figured if he'd use me, he'd use someone else too. So I messaged his old friend Todd, who used to run a garage down near Wilmington Pike. We'd played poker once. Todd called me back within the hour. Man, he said, you too? That was all he needed to say. Turns out Rick had stayed with him for 2 weeks back in December. Told him he had a real estate deal in motion. Borrowed $500 just until the next contractor invoice cleared. Never paid it back. He left with my Yeti cooler, Todd added. Didn't even take his toolbox. Just vanished. We traded a few more stories. I felt less alone afterward, but more pissed. Rick wasn't spiraling. He was working a circuit. The next week, I found out he'd applied for a business credit card using a different cousin's address. It got flagged because of a typo in his birth year. That cousin, Jess, called me out of nowhere. You hear about this? She asked. I told her everything. By the time we hung up, we agreed to loop in anyone else Rick had touched. We made a group chat. We called it Rick's Greatest Hits. There were 6 of us in there by April. It was like a support group, sharing screenshots, telling our stories, helping each other untangle the lies. Then one day, a new name popped up, Emily. I didn't recognize her, but Jess did. She's Rick's ex, from back when he lived in Toledo. Emily had a PDF. She sent it without a message. It was a scanned application. Rick had listed me as a professional reference with my work number. I felt sick. Then she sent the punchline. He said you were his former business partner. I stared at that line for a long time. Former business partner, not nephew, not family, just a tool he used to sound more legitimate. And now he was dragging my name through mud in ways I hadn't even seen. That's when something shifted in me. Up until that point, I'd been focused on cleaning up the mess, quietly, privately, protecting my job, my credit, my mom's peace of mind. But now? Now I wanted people to know. I wasn't going to wage some legal war. I couldn't. But I could talk. I could post. I could make sure the next person he tried to charm thought twice before handing him their signature, or their spare room, or their trust. So I wrote a post on Facebook. Plain, direct. No venom, just facts. I'm posting this because I want to be honest, not because I'm bitter. Last fall, I co-signed on a loan for Rick Richards. He promised to pay. He stopped after 2 months, blocked me. The loan's in default. I've covered it myself since. If he's reached out to you with an offer, please verify everything. I wish I'd done more of that. It got shared 20 times in 2 days, then 50. Then someone tagged a local community group. That's when things started moving faster and messier. It wasn't supposed to blow up. I thought that maybe a handful of people would read the post. A few would shake their heads, maybe DM me their own war stories. I didn't expect it to take off. I didn't expect messages from people I didn't know. People Rick had scammed 5-10 years ago. Renters, co-workers, 2 ex-girlfriends, even a guy from Arizona who said Rick sold him a crypto mentorship package in 2019 and ghosted after the first Zoom. By the end of that week, the post had over 200 shares. I was in line at Kroger when someone tapped my shoulder. "You're Nate Fields, right?" I turned. The guy looked familiar. Beard, camo jacket, sunglasses perched on his head. "Yeah. I saw your thing about Rick. Dude, I gave him my chainsaw in 2016. Said he was clearing a lot up near Sugar Creek. Never brought it back." He laughed like it was funny now. It wasn't. Not to me. But I nodded. We talked for a minute, then parted ways. He didn't ask for anything. Just wanted to say he saw it. Still, that moment stuck with me. Because it meant Rick's lies weren't just mine to clean up anymore. They'd gone wide. The group chat blew up that weekend. Emily added 2 more names, one from Michigan, one from Alabama. I made a spreadsheet, listed the debts, the lies, the aliases, the phone numbers, the vehicles he'd used. It felt obsessive, but also necessary. Like documenting something gave me back control. Meanwhile, the loan was now 5 months in. I'd paid April and May on time. My checking account was bleeding slowly. Manageable, but only if I kept cutting elsewhere. No vacation, no new shoes, no weekend wings at the bar with Aaron and Mike. Mike noticed first. "Man, you've been laying low lately." I shrugged. "Just tightening up." "You good?" I paused. "Yeah, just family stuff." He didn't push. Mike never did. But a few nights later, he came by with beer and asked again. So I told him. Whole story. The house, the missed payments, the block, the spreadsheet, the Facebook post. When I finished, he just sat there, jaw tight. "That's fucked," he said finally. "He really blocked you after getting your signature?" Like I never existed. He nodded slowly. "You ever think about going after him legally?" I sighed. "I don't have the bandwidth. And technically, I co-signed. There's no crime in being an a-hole." Mike raised his beer. "To your uncle, the a-hole." We clinked. Still, the seed had been planted. That night, I Googled civil recourse for cosigner fraud. It wasn't encouraging. Most articles said the same thing. Unless you could prove intent to defraud at the time of signing, you were basically screwed. Co-signing was like jumping into a pool and then complaining you got wet. But one link caught my eye. A post on Reddit, of all places. A guy in Missouri had been through something similar. His cousin used his name on a small business loan, defaulted, vanished. He'd created a site, a quiet, low-traffic page that just laid out the story with dates, facts, and warnings. No slander, no emotion, just truth. He called it Due Diligence, a cautionary family tale. I bookmarked it. 2 days later, I registered a domain, rickrichards.info.com. I built the page in one night. White background, black text, no photos, just a timeline. September 15th, the night Rick brought up the property. October 3rd, the credit union visit. November, first payment. January, default. February, blocked. I listed facts. I redacted sensitive info. I included a contact me form in case someone else wanted to share a similar experience. Then I published. Didn't post it to socials. Didn't even link it in the Facebook thread. I just wanted it to exist. Quiet and firm. A monument to what happened. But of course, nothing online stays quiet forever. By the end of June, I got my first anonymous message through the contact form. No name. Just, he's in Lexington, driving a white F-150, working under the name Rico. Stay sharp. I read it twice. Then a third time. It could have been fake. Or a joke. But I Googled Rick Richards Lexington Rico, and guess what popped up? A Craigslist ad. Handyman services by Rico. Drywall, patchwork, roofing, no job too small. There was a phone number. I called it from a burner app. He answered, "Yo, is this Rico?" A beat. "Who's asking?" "I need some drywall help." "Sure, what's the job?" I hung up. My heart was pounding. It was him. I'd know that voice anywhere. That slight drawl, like he was always just about to charm you into something. I sat there for a full minute, phone still in my hand, unsure what to do next. Part of me wanted to drive to Lexington and confront him. Part of me wanted to call the cops, though I knew they couldn't do anything. Most of me just wanted him to know I wasn't some quiet nephew anymore. I went back to the site, added a new entry. July 2nd. Verified tip places Rico Richards in Lexington, KKY. Operating under alias. Still active. Still collecting. Then I added a note in bold. If you have been approached by Rick or Rico for any financial matter, please verify everything. This is not slander. This is a warning. The next morning, the site got over 400 hits. Someone posted it to Reddit. Someone else posted it to a local Lexington neighborhood group. That's when Rick broke his silence. He called me. Blocked number. I almost didn't answer, but I did. His voice came through thin and scratchy. "What the hell are you doing, Nate?" I didn't say anything. "You put up a whole site? Are you trying to ruin me?" "I'm just telling the truth." "That's slander." "It's not, and you know it." He went quiet for a second. Then the voice dropped, softened. "Come on, kid. We're family. You think this helps anything? You blocked me. You left me with your debt. You're still out there scamming people." "You don't know what I've been dealing with." I cut him off. "I don't care anymore. Pay what you owe, or don't. But I'm done pretending this didn't happen." He was silent again. Then he laughed, low and bitter. "You always thought you were better than me." "No," I said quietly. "I just thought you were better than this." I hung up. Then I blocked the number. 10 minutes later, I got a message through the site's form. "He's mad. Says you're slandering him. But also, I think you stopped him from getting to my dad. Thank you." That one made me sit down. I hadn't realized how heavy it all was until that moment. I wasn't trying to be a hero. I just didn't want to be invisible anymore. You'd think that confronting him, finally hearing his voice, telling him off, would bring some kind of closure, that maybe I'd sleep better, that the knots in my stomach would start to loosen. But the truth is, things got messier after that call. Rick didn't come after me directly. No angry emails, no threatening letters. But about a week later, my mom stopped answering my texts. It started subtly. I sent her a picture of a new lamp I bought for the guest room. She didn't respond. Then I asked if she still wanted to meet up for coffee on Sunday. No reply. By the third message, I knew it wasn't a tech issue. I called, straight to voicemail. Then I got a forwarded screenshot from my cousin Jess, who was still in the group chat with me. Rick had messaged her. Rick, I can't believe Nate would try to drag family like this. Mom's heart is breaking. He put our business online like we're strangers. What kind of son does that? I stared at it for a long time. He was playing the sympathy card, turning it into a morality play. I should have expected it. Rick was a master at spinning the story, making himself the victim. But it still hurt, because now he wasn't just screwing me financially. He was reaching into the family and trying to turn the few bonds I had left. I finally got through to Mom the next day. She answered on the third ring. "Hi," I said, cautious. There was a pause. Then, "I just don't know what you're doing, Nate." It felt like getting slapped by your own shadow. "What I'm doing?" I repeated. "I talked to Rick," she said. "He told me everything. That you went nuclear. That you made a website to ruin him." I told the truth. "You posted it on the internet because no one believed me when I said it in private." She went quiet again. I could hear the soft hiss of her kitchen sink in the background, a drawer opening, silverware clinking. "Mom," I said more gently, "he left me with his loan. He blocked me. I've been paying it off for months. You think I wanted to go public?" "He said you offered, that you were investing." I nearly dropped the phone. "Offered? Mom, he asked me to co-sign, said he had it all covered. I trusted him. That was my mistake. I hate seeing the family like this." I sighed. "Me too, but that's not on me." She didn't hang up, but she didn't defend me either. That call ended with a shaky "love you" and a colder silence than I'd ever felt from her. I didn't hear from her again for 2 weeks. During that time, I focused on work. I buried myself in tasks, updating servers, fixing printers, training a new guy named Luis who kept calling HDMI cables those chonky ones. He was funny, at least. Kept things light. Didn't ask questions when I looked drained. But outside of work, I was unraveling. I stopped checking the group chat, stopped updating the website. I was exhausted. I'd spent months trying to clean up someone else's mess, and all I got for it was debt, silence, and a strained relationship with the one parent who still answered my calls. I started having those nights. The kind where you lie in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering if maybe it was your fault. If maybe you could have done it differently. Said no from the start. Made Rick sign something stronger. Warned your mom earlier. Then, in the middle of one of those nights, 3:11 a.m., I got a PayPal alert. "You've received $500 from anonymous message. For what you did, thank you." I blinked. Thought it was a scam. Then I checked the email it came from. It matched one of the anonymous contacts from the site. Someone named Mark. A guy who said Rick took a deposit on a mobile home remodel and disappeared. I messaged him. "Me, you don't have to pay me." Mark, "I know, but I wanted to." That's all he said. It was the first time I felt seen, not pitied, not lectured, just seen. I didn't spend the money. I moved it into savings, called it the Dignity Fund in my head. 3 days later, I got another surprise. Amanda from the credit union called. "Mr. Fields, I just wanted to let you know your loan status has changed." I tensed. "What do you mean?" "There was a lump sum payment made yesterday. 6 months of balance. Paid in full." My brain stalled. "From who?" She hesitated. "We can't share that, but I can confirm the loan is now up to date." I checked my own account. I hadn't made the payment. I called Mike first. He said it wasn't him. Jess didn't know either. Then I got an email. No subject. No body. Just an attachment. a screenshot of a transfer receipt. It was Rick. A transfer from an unfamiliar checking account to the credit union. No apology, no explanation, just the receipt. I stared at it for a long time. He hadn't called, hadn't texted, just paid off his part and sent the proof like it was enough to clean the slate. It didn't fix anything. The damage to my credit had already been done. My savings were still half of what they were, and my relationship with Mom still had cracks that hadn't healed. But it was something. A dent in the debt, a ripple in the silence, and even if he didn't admit it, even if he never apologized, it was the first acknowledgement I'd gotten from him since the day he walked into my kitchen with a ribeye and a sales pitch. I didn't respond, but I opened the spreadsheet again, logged the payment, updated the balance. Then I turned off the website for good. Not because I forgave him, but because I was done letting him take up more space in my life than he already had. The funny thing about resolution, real resolution, is that it never arrives like you expect it to. It doesn't come with a clean bow or a perfect apology or a big tearful scene in a restaurant booth where someone finally gets it. That's movie stuff. In real life, it just fades, quietly, like a sound you forget was even in the background. The last time I saw Rick was 3 weeks after he made the lump sum payment. It was at Mom's place. She invited me over on a Thursday evening. Homemade chili, garlic cornbread, the kind of meal she usually reserved for colder weather or family birthdays. I knew something was up. The table was set for 3. I stood in her doorway, holding a bottle of ginger ale and a grocery bag with frozen pie, and she smiled just a little too quickly. "He's here," she said. I didn't ask who. She didn't say it like a warning, just a fact. Like saying the sun had gone down or the TV was on in the background. I thought about leaving, thought about telling her I wasn't ready, that showing up without a heads up was just another manipulation. But I didn't. I stepped inside. Rick was in the kitchen. He turned around when he heard the door click. Same leather jacket, new sunglasses, resting on the counter beside the pepper grinder. He didn't smile, didn't look ashamed, just tired. "Nate." "Rick." We stood like that for a second. Neither of us moved. Then Mom said something from the dining room. I don't even remember what. Just enough to break the silence. We sat down. The dinner was quiet. Not tense, not warm, just quiet. Mom asked me about work. Asked Rick if he was still doing jobs down south. He nodded vaguely. I noticed his eyes were puffy. He didn't look tan anymore, just older. At one point, I caught him glancing at me when I wasn't looking. Or maybe I was. Either way, I didn't say anything. When the cornbread was almost gone and the dishes were mostly empty, he finally spoke. "I paid the loan." I nodded. I saw. "That doesn't make it right." "No," I said, "it doesn't." He nodded slowly, folded his napkin in half, then in half again. His hands were shaking a little. "I was in a bad place," he said. I didn't answer. "I know that doesn't excuse it. I didn't think you'd say yes." I looked at him then, really looked at him. "That's the problem, Rick. I did say yes, because I believed you." He flinched like I'd hit him. Mom didn't interrupt. She stared down at her chili, stirring it with her spoon like it had something important to say. "I'm trying to be better," he mumbled. "You've said that before." He nodded again. This time, he didn't push, didn't defend himself. He just sat there, letting the weight of what he'd done fill the space between us. I didn't forgive him that night, and he didn't ask me to. But something shifted, not between us. I wasn't naive enough to think we'd ever be close again, but in me. The anger stopped taking up so much space. I got up and helped clear the dishes. We didn't hug. We didn't make plans. I just said thanks to Mom, nodded at him, and walked out the door. The air outside was cool, late summer easing into early fall. Crickets were already tuning up in the yard. I stood by my car for a minute, letting it settle. Then I drove home. That night, I pulled the Rick Richards loan folder off my shelf, sat with it on the coffee table, read every document one more time. Not because I needed to, but because I wanted to acknowledge what it had cost me. Then I closed it, wrapped a rubber band around it, and shoved it to the back of my filing cabinet. Not because it didn't matter, but because it wasn't going to define me anymore. I got a new credit card in October. Low limit, just enough to start rebuilding. I went out for wings with Mike again. Laughed more than I expected to. Mom and I didn't talk about Rick much after that, but she called more often. Sometimes just to ask about my car or tell me the birds were back at the feeder. And Rick? I heard he moved up to Columbus. Word is he's starting over. I hope he is. I don't hate him. Not anymore. But I don't owe him anything either. If he calls again, I might answer, or I might not. I used to think being the dependable one meant always saying yes. Now I know better. Now I know the most reliable thing I can be, for myself, is honest. If this story moved you, subscribe for more real-life confessions and emotional journeys like this one.